If you're sitting about where I was sitting 3 years ago, I want you to hear this from somebody who's not trying to sell you a dream. Just a fella who ran the numbers and did the thing. Name's Wayne. Wayne Peterson. I'm 61. And for 31 years, I sat in the back office of a bank branch in Tucson, Arizona, processing insurance policies and loan files, the quiet paperwork nobody thanks you for until the day it's wrong. I was good at it. I was the man who caught the decimal in the wrong place. Careful. That's the word people use for me. Careful, Wayne. I'll tell you what careful gets you. Careful gets you a divorce at 57 that splits everything you spent 30 years building right down the middle, clean as a bandsaw. She wasn't the villain and neither was I. We just wore each other out and there wasn't enough left over at the end to be kind about it. I'm not going to sit here and paint her bad. I wasn't easy either. But when the dust settled, half of what was supposed to carry me to the grave was gone, and I was 58 years old in a one-bedroom rental off Speedway, doing my budget in pencil on a yellow legal pad. I still do it in pencil. 30 years reconciling other people's money, and I never once trusted a spreadsheet not to lie to me. A pencil doesn't have an agenda, and here's what the pencil kept telling me. I was 4 years short of Medicare. You don't get that till 65, no matter how tired you are, and I was handing a marketplace insurance company about $680 a month for a plan with a deductible so high, I was scared to actually get sick and use it. $680 for permission to worry. My pension was decent, not grand, the kind of pension a clerk gets, not a vice president, and every month that legal pad came out the same: rent, car, that insurance premium, and not much daylight after. Now, the part that gives this its name. One morning I came down the stairs too fast with a laundry basket and my sock caught the lip of a step, and I went down the last 4 and cracked 2 ribs on the railing. Hurt like the devil. Nothing that wouldn't heal. But I made the mistake of telling my kids. I've got 2, a son in Denver, a daughter in Phoenix. Good kids. Scared kids, it turned out. Within a week, my daughter's texting me links. Places, she called them. Independent living. Assisted, if it came to that. Just to be safe, Dad. One of them had a brochure with a photo of a smiling gray-haired man doing a jigsaw puzzle at a table, and I looked at that man for a long time. I wasn't insulted, exactly. That's the thing nobody tells you. It wasn't anger. It was quieter than anger. It was the realization that at 58 I had become, in the eyes of the 2 people I raised, a problem to be managed. A thing you make safe and set down somewhere so you don't have to think about it. And I sat there with my 2 cracked ribs and that yellow legal pad, and I thought, I am not done. I am nowhere near done. I've just been priced out of my own life, and now they want to file me. So I did the thing careful people never do. I started looking for another answer. I'm not going to tell you yet where I ended up or how the money shook out. You'll see it, all of it, on the same yellow pad, and I'll show you the number that finally balanced. Just know this before we start. I didn't run away from my kids. I ran toward being a person again. There's a difference, and it took me a while to learn it. Let me back up to a night I couldn't sleep. It was 3 in the morning, the ribs aching every time I breathed wrong, and I was doing what you do at 3 in the morning when you're my age, and the house is too quiet. I was on the internet, going nowhere. I don't remember how I landed in it. One of those forums. Expats, they call themselves. Americans and Brits and Canadians who'd packed it in and gone to live in Thailand of all places, and they were arguing about visas and hospitals and the price of a chicken. And somewhere down a long thread, a fellow about my age, retired, living in a town called Hua Hin, had just posted his whole monthly budget. Laid it out, rent, food, power, the works. Now, you have to understand what I am. For 31 years, my job was to look at the numbers somebody swore was true and find where it wasn't. So I didn't read that man's budget like a dream. I read it like an auditor. I opened my own legal pad and I started trying to make his numbers break. They wouldn't break. He was running a comfortable life, his own place, aircon, eating out, a scooter, the lot on about 50,000 baht a month. And I sat there converting it because I didn't know baht from a hole in the wall, and the exchange back then was about 33 baht to the dollar, same as it is now. So 50,000 baht is a hair over $1,500 a month. all in. $1,500, I was paying almost half that just to an insurance company to not use it. I want to be honest because this whole thing only works if I'm honest with you. My first reaction wasn't excitement, it was suspicion. I figured he was lying or leaving out the hard parts, or it was one of those places that's cheap because it's miserable. So I read for 3 more nights. And these people, God bless them, they don't gloss it, they complain. They complain about the heat, the paperwork, the 90-day reports, the language, the missing your family. That's what sold me. Oddly, nobody was selling. They were just living and telling the truth about it. Why Hua Hin and not one of the flashier spots? Because I read up. Hua Hin's a quiet royal seaside town, 3 hours south of Bangkok. It's where Thai families and older folks go, a real retiree scene, golf, a long beach, none of the neon and nonsense you hear about elsewhere. And it's close enough to Bangkok that if something went really wrong with my health, the big hospitals were a van ride away. For a careful man, that mattered. I didn't want an adventure. I wanted a life I could afford that didn't feel like a waiting room, so I did the second thing careful people never do. I booked a flight, 2 weeks. 58 years old, 2 half-healed ribs, and a one-way's worth of nerve for a round-trip ticket. I told myself it was just a look, just reconnaissance. I'd go, I'd see it was too good to be true, and I'd come home and let my daughter pick out a nice place with a jigsaw table. I told my kids. My son went quiet on the phone. In that way, that means he thinks you've lost it. My daughter said, "Dad, please don't do anything crazy." I said I was just going to look. I was not, it turned out, just going to look. They open the aircraft door in Bangkok and the heat walks in to meet you. That's the only way I can put it. In Tucson, we've got heat, dry heat, oven heat, the kind that bakes you. This was different. This was wet. It wrapped around me like a warm towel somebody'd left in the sun, and by the time I got to the van for the 3-hour run down to Hua Hin, my shirt was stuck to my back and I was thinking, "Careful, Wayne, you have made a mistake." The first 3 days I nearly rebooked. I'll say that plain because I promised you plain. The jet lag had me up at 4, the heat had me flattened by noon, and I sat in a little rented room that first night listening to a lizard chirp on the wall, and I thought, what in God's name are you doing? 60 years old near enough, alone on the other side of the planet. I'd have flown home on day 3 if changing the ticket hadn't cost me. And then, somewhere around day 4, the town got its hooks in me. It was the night market that did it first. I wandered down after dark when it had cooled a little, and the whole street was smoke and light carts grilling moo ping, these little pork skewers, the smell of it hanging in the air with lemongrass and chili and charcoal. A woman ladled me out a bowl of cow man gai, chicken and rice, for something like 50 baht, $1.50, and it was so good I nearly laughed. Fresh seafood laid out on ice, satay hissing on the grills, and every few feet the chime of a 7-Eleven door as somebody ducked in for a cold chang. Next morning I walked the beach to the south end, to Khao Takiab Chopstick Hill. They call it a temple up on a headland with a great golden Buddha and a troop of monkeys that will absolutely steal your sunglasses if you let them. Monks in orange coming down the steps in the early light. Bells. I'm not a religious man, never was, but there's a quiet in a Thai wat in the morning that gets into your chest. And I did what I came to do. I checked the numbers on the ground. I wrote down what a proper meal cost, what a bottle of water cost, what they wanted for a month's rent on a decent one-bedroom with aircon and a pool. I sat at a plastic table by the old railway station, this beautiful old wooden station, red and cream, royal town that it is, and I ran the 2 weeks' worth of real prices against that fella's forum budget. It held. Every line of it held. I flew home after the 2 weeks. But I want to be honest about something I already knew. I sat on that flight back to Arizona doing arithmetic I didn't need to do anymore because I'd already decided, somewhere down on that beach, that I wasn't going to be the smiling man at the jigsaw table. I came back to Hua Hin for good the next year at 59 on a one-way ticket this time. My daughter cried at the airport, not the good kind of cry. I hugged her and told her I'd be back to visit and that she could come see for herself, and I got on the plane before I lost my nerve. Now let me show you the numbers because I promised and because the numbers are the whole reason a careful man does a crazy looking thing. I found a 1 bedroom condo, a 10-minute walk from town, proper kitchen, aircon, a pool downstairs I actually use for 20,000 baht a month. That's about $606. Read that again if you rent in America. $600 for a place nicer than the one I left off Speedway. Here's the whole legal pad, the real one, the one that finally balanced. Rent, 20,000 baht, about $600. Power and aircon, 3,000 baht, call it $90. And that's running the air more than I should. Food cooking at home and eating out most nights, because eating out here is cheaper than the groceries back home, 13,000 baht, right around $400. A second-hand scooter to get around, plus a grab now and then, 2,500 baht, $75 or so. Phone and internet, 800 baht, $24. Health insurance and my routine medicine, blended out monthly, 6,200 baht, about $190. And a misc line, because there's always a misc line, 4,000 baht, $120. Added up, 49,500 baht a month, $1,500 near enough all in. Against that, I've got my pension, about 1,480 a month, and a careful drawdown from what the divorce left me, around 500 a month, managed so it lasts until I turn on Social Security. I'm not on Social Security yet. You can take it at 62, but every year you wait, the check gets bigger and stays bigger, so I'm holding off a little. Call my income about 1,980 a month. 1,980 coming in, 1,500 going out. That leaves me a cushion of around $480 a month. Back in Tucson, that same 1980 didn't even clear the insurance premium and the rent before the month ate it. Here it leaves me money at the end. That's not a trick. That's just a different country's arithmetic. The visa I'll keep short because it's the part everybody worries about and it's more boring than scary. I'm past 60, so I didn't do the from-home retirement visa with its mandatory insurance rules. I flew in on a tourist entry and converted to the retirement-type non-O visa here in the country, which is the sensible road at my age. I showed the money. 800,000 baht, about $24,000, seasoned in a Thai bank account, which the divorce settlement let me park without touching. Every 90 days I file a little address report. Once a year I renew. I can own the condo but not the land under it. That's just how it works here. And I'm fine renting anyhow. It's paperwork. Careful men are good at paperwork. I stood on my little balcony that first week with the legal pad in my hand, looked at that $480 cushion, and I thought they wanted to file me away. And instead I'm solvent for the first time in 5 years. I stayed. Now I'd be a liar and a salesman if I stopped there and let you think it was easy. It was not easy. The first stretch was hard in ways the forum warned me about, and a few it didn't. The heat came for me first. I moved in the cool season and thought, this is fine, this is lovely. Then the low season came, the hot months, and then the rains, and there were afternoons. The humidity sat on the town like a wet blanket, and my shirt was through by 10 in the morning. Some days the rain would come down like somebody upended a bucket, and the streets I walked would be shin deep in 20 minutes. You learn to move in the mornings and the evenings and surrender the middle of the day to the aircon. But there were weeks I questioned the whole thing. Then the paperwork. The 90-day report baffled me the first time. The right office, the right form, the right window, and me with no tie and a queue full of people who knew the drill. I got it wrong once and had to come back. The annual renewal's the same dance. It's not hard once you've done it, it's just foreign, and foreign is tiring when you're doing it alone. But the language that was the real wall, and I want to be straight with you because I've heard other stories tell you everybody over here speaks English, and that is a lie. In the tourist spots and the hospitals, sure, plenty do. 2 streets back from the beach, not so much. Thai is a tonal language. The same little word means 5 different things depending on how your voice goes up or down, and I am a 60-year-old bank clerk from Arizona with an ear made of concrete. I butchered it. I'd try to say thank you, and by the look on their faces, I'd said something else entirely. And underneath all of it, the thing nobody puts on a brochure, I was lonely. Bone lonely. A quiet man in a quiet town, and nobody knew my name. I'd eat my dinner at the night market surrounded by people and go home, and there'd be that lizard on the wall and my legal pad and the whole Pacific between me and anybody who'd known me longer than a month. There was a night about 3 months in, I'll admit it. I had the flights back home up on my laptop, cursor hovering. I sat there a long time. I didn't book it. I don't fully know why. Stubbornness, maybe, the thought of that jigsaw table. And then it started to turn in the smallest ways. I learned to say it properly. Sawasdee crap when I came in, Kop Kun crap when I left. Thank you, hello, the two words that open every door a crack. And people met me halfway, more than halfway. There's a thing here they call Kreng Jai, a kind of considerate holding back. Folks won't crowd you, won't force themselves on you. So it's slow, but it's real. A nod became a smile became a hello, sir. And one evening the woman at the Mu Ping cart, before I'd said a word, held up 4 fingers with a question on her face, my usual 4 skewers, and reached for the grill. She knew my order. She didn't know my name yet, but she knew my order. And I stood there on that street, 60 years old, near about crying over pork skewers because for the first time in a long time somebody was expecting me. Once one door opens here, the rest come easier. That Mu Ping cart was the first. After that, it was like the town decided I was staying and started letting me in. The golf did the rest. I'm no good at it. 30 years at a desk doesn't build a swing, but there's a course out at the foot of Black Mountain, and I went out one morning as a single, and a retired Scot named Douglas took one look at me flailing and adopted me on the spot. You'll come Tuesdays, he said, not a question, and that was that. Tuesdays became a fixed thing. A half dozen of us, all washed up here from somewhere, a German, a couple of Brits, an Aussie, me, old men who'd each run some version of my arithmetic and come to the same answer. We're terrible at golf and very good at the beers after. The days found a shape. I walk the beach at dawn now, before the heat, and most mornings you'll pass the monks on their alms round, barefoot in the orange, and the local folks kneeling to give rice merit making, they call it. I'm still not religious, but I've started leaving a little something some mornings, and there's a peace in it I can't explain and won't try to. Weekends I'll go up to the cicada market near Khao Takiab, arts and food and music under the trees. I've got a routine. A quiet man wants a routine, and this one finally suits me. Let me talk about the health thing honestly, because it's the question I get most, and it's the one that ought to matter to a careful person. I'm 61. I am not on Medicare. You don't get that until 65, and even when I troop, it won't cover me here. Medicare stops at the water's edge. So over here I carry private insurance for the big stuff, which for a man my age runs a manageable bit each year and gets pricier as you climb, and I pay cash for the small stuff because the small stuff is almost free. A routine visit at Bangkok Hospital Hua Hin runs me somewhere between $25 and $60. Walk in, seen fast, done. Anything serious, the big referral hospitals are up in Bangkok 3 hours north, and they're as good as anything I ever had access to at home. That's the deal I made my peace with. Cheap and excellent for the everyday, insured and a road trip away for the once in a blue moon. I ran those numbers too. They held. And then my daughter came. She flew over at my 1-year mark, and I knew she'd come to talk me home. She had the same look she'd had with those brochures. I didn't argue, I just showed her the town. I took her to the night market and put a plate of somtam in front of her, green papaya and chili and lime, and walked her up Chopstick Hill past the monkeys, and sat her down at the old railway station at dusk, and somewhere in there she went quiet. Different quiet than her brothers. On her last night, at a little table by the water, she put her fork down and said, "Okay, Dad, just that. Okay. And then, you look 10 years younger than when you left." She was right. I did. I was. So here's where I am, if you've stayed with me this far. It's a bit past 2 years now since I moved, and I just turned 61. I get up before the sun when the air is still soft, and I walk the long beach south toward Chopstick Hill. I pass the monks on their round. I get my coffee. I get 4 skewers off the cart from the woman who knows my order, and now, finally, my name Kun Wayne, she calls me. And then I sit down with my coffee and I do my budget. I do it in pen now, not pencil. That's the whole story, right there, if you want it in one line. For 5 years back home, I did that budget in pencil because I was afraid of it, because every month it came out wrong and I needed to be able to erase. Here it comes out right. So I use a pen. It finally balances. I'm not going to sell you paradise, because it isn't one, and you'd be right not to trust me if I did. I miss my grandkids, my son's two little ones in Denver, and a video call is not a hug, and I feel that hole most on the holidays. I'll always be a Farang here, a foreigner. There's a warmth I'm let into, and a deeper room I'll never quite enter, and that's fair. That's their country, not mine. The heat still wins some afternoons. There's tax paperwork, because an American files American taxes till the day he dies, no matter where he lays his head, and once I'm here past half the year, I'm on the hook for their rules too. And that's a sit down with a professional matter, not a figure it out from a video one. Those are real, I'm not waving them off, but weigh it. Weigh the whole thing honest the way I was trained to. 2 years ago, I was 58 years old, priced out of my own country, 4 years short of the insurance I'd paid into my whole life. And the two kids I raised were sending me pictures of the room where they meant to set me down and stop worrying. I had become a problem to be solved. I am not a problem to be solved anymore. I'm a man with a life. A small one, an ordinary one, a scooter and a Tuesday golf group and a beach and a balanced budget and a woman at a cart who calls me Hoon Wayne. But it's mine, and I built it at 59 when everybody who loved me thought the building was over. If you're where I was, if there's a yellow legal pad in your house that keeps coming out wrong, and somebody started using the word safe about you like you're already gone, I just want you to know there was another door. I found it at 3 in the morning when I'd stopped believing there was one. That's the whole reason I told you all this. Before I let you go, one last thing, and then I'll leave you be. If any of this landed for you, if you've got that same itch I had, wondering whether the math could ever work for somebody in your shoes, there's a free tool down in the description that's worth a look. The Honest Thailand Retirement Starter Kit, it's called. I didn't make it, and I'm not selling you a thing. It's just a plain, honest self-check that'll tell you straight whether this is even worth your while. It's as willing to talk you out of it as into it, and a budget worksheet where you run your own real numbers, city by city, on your own yellow pad, the way I ran mine. Costs you nothing. And if it tells you to stay right where you are, well, that's an honest answer too, and worth knowing. That's all I've got. Take care of yourself. Sawasdee crap.